The Southern Conference celebrates 100 years of athletic competition. Born in the South, raised on innovation, sustained by its pursuit of excellence. The Southern Conference is a league forged from the unique spirit of its member institutions. Many of the nation's athletic powerhouses trace their roots to its historic past and hallowed grounds. Premier conferences emerged from its earliest days and have continued to follow its groundbreaking blueprint. Legendary coaches, administrators, and student athletes have always called it home. Across the decades, this league has provided a launching pad for pioneers and trailblazers. Marked by historic firsts, motivated by the building of lifelong leaders, the impact of the Southern Conference cannot be measured. A league for all seasons, the Southern Conference has crowned champions in 23 men's and women's sports throughout its inaugural century. It paved the way for the madness of March with the first basketball tournament in collegiate history. These boys of summer were first introduced to fans of America's national pastime from its historic diamonds. And each fall, its campus stadiums come to life with the pageantry which has laid the foundation for the sport our country has embraced as college football. Built upon decades of pomp and circumstance, this is a league which honors its past. The iconic names, the memorable moments, its unmatched legacy. The SoCon has left its mark across the landscape of college athletics. It has expanded, contracted, and expanded again, adjusted, stood strong, persevered, overcome, and inspired. Yet this rich tradition across the decades has simply served as the beginning of the story. The Southern Conference has emerged as a national leader on and off the field, earning respect through its commitment to excellence in the present, excellence in the classroom, excellence in competition, excellence in each of its communities, appearing on the national stage to perform at the highest level, leading the way through strategic partnerships for its member institutions. The SoCon has created environments where moments are timeless and titles are forever. With worldwide impact emerging from 10 campuses which make up its southern footprint, the future of this conference is brighter than ever. This is a league uniquely positioned to embrace the challenges ahead, creating opportunities for landmark growth along every mile of the journey. Honoring its legendary past, respecting its legacy through excellence in the present, embracing its bright and promising future. This is the Southern Conference. It has been an amazing first century. We're just getting started.
Coming off a whirlwind 2020 season, which actually took place in spring of 2021, the Southland Conference is ready for the return of fall football with 6 teams taking the field. Here's a look at the preseason poll headed into this season. After finishing last season with a 4-3 record and 20th and 21st in the final FCS polls, Southeastern is the preseason favorite with 8 first-place votes. Ranking 17th in the AFCA FCS Coaches preseason poll, Southeastern returns 23 starters from last year's team, including the 2020-21 Walter Payton Award winner, senior quarterback Cole Kelly. At our Southland Conference Media Days last month, head coach Frank Zelfo said even with all the talent he has coming back, it's what he's seen the last couple of months that really excites him.
What's going to make a difference is what happened in June and July and in August. That's what's going to make a difference this fall. And how our team is preparing right now, I am excited about that. I am looking forward to that. I got a positive outlook.
Like Southeastern, Nichols also returns 23 starters from last season and finds itself on the AFCA FCS Coaches Preseason poll, coming in at 23rd. Although the Colonels won their first 3 games last season and boasted the league's top-scoring offense, they dropped 3 of their last 4 contests, and that's something head coach Tim Rebo said he hopes his team uses as fuel for this season.
We had some things that didn't go our way. We were a very inconsistent football team, I thought, in the spring. We started off really, really hot, and then we didn't finish strong at the end, and that's something that our guys know.
After leading the FCS with 24 touchdown passes and being named the Jerry Rice Award winner during his rookie campaign, UIW quarterback Cameron Ward will once again lead the UIW attack this season. The Cardinals' offense averaged 42 points a game and led the league in total offense, but head coach Eric Morris thinks there's still room for improvement.
Our model this whole entire offseason has been finished, because the last 2 years, halfway through the season, we're at first place in the conference, and then we've had this dramatic fall off at the end. And that's something me as a head coach and our other coaches that we worked hard to find the problem and figure out a solution for it.
After enduring 2 hurricanes in the fall, it's amazing that McNeese was even able to take the field at all last spring. The Cowboys finished the season winning 2 of their last 3 contests, and with 95% of their offensive output returning this year, head coach Frank Wilson has full faith in his team and thinks the sky is the limit.
There is no glass ceiling that we top out at, per se. For years, it's been an opportunity to win the conference championship. I really believe the conference champion out of the Southland Conference has a chance to win the national championship.
Winning its last game of the season against 19th-ranked UIW, Northwestern State is looking to carry that momentum into this season with 19 returning starters. Head coach Brad Laird said his motto for the team this season is focus, fight, and finish.
Focus on the things that you can control, but also the little things, and doing the little things right, focusing on the little things, focus when you get tired.
HBU took the field last fall instead of the spring and played against 3 FBS opponents as well as Eastern Kentucky. Even though his Huskies didn't play any Southland Conference foes last season, head coach Vic Shealy knows his team will be competitive this year.
The DNA this fall on the field will actually probably be greater than what it was this past fall. And so as coaches, we have great confidence because we know that it is about the players. All right, it's a skill level that they bring to the field. We're more athletic.
The Southland Conference football season will kick off on Thursday, September 2nd as Houston Baptist travels to play New Mexico. Best of luck to all the FCS student athletes playing this season.
In the spring, it was Holy Cross taking care of Bucknell in the very first Patriot League championship game to be played in football. Led by freshman Matthew Sluka, the Crusaders took down the Bison 33-10 to win their 2nd straight league title. Hi, I'm Maria Tribal Peace in the Patriot League studio. Even a shortened season couldn't stop Holy Cross from lifting another trophy, and with several returning starters, a 9th title may be on the horizon. Holy Cross took the top spot in the Patriot League preseason poll with 71 points and 11 first-place votes. Fordham garnered 63 points and 3 first-place votes to take 2nd place in the poll, followed by Lafayette in 3rd. Holy Cross didn't see its offense take off until Game 2 of the spring season, when then freshman Matthew Sluka stepped into rush for a pair of scores and then threw his first career touchdown pass to put away Fordham. He then shined in the title game, accounting for another 3 touchdowns.
Matt really, his 4-game season for him was really only 1 week that he was, under center as the starting quarterback. And I think, when he was not here in the fall with us, there was only a limited amount that were allowed back. And then the whole first part of the spring, he was far behind, and I think trying to catch up, it was coming from scout team reps, it was coming from those things. And then we eventually said, this guy's got to get on the field. And I think, deservingly so, he proved us all right. So I think that he's gained a lot of knowledge from not only how to sit in meetings to how to take notes to what he's supposed to be looking for. That was all stuff that was pretty raw for him at the beginning. And I think right now he's using that first year and using a lot of the pressure and the stuff that he had to learn under fire. And, he's turning into a really, really good football player right now.
Fordham also has a number of good football players, and the preseason awards prove that. 7 Rams landed on the preseason all-league offense, including 2 running backs and 2 wide receivers. Another 3 Rams were selected on the preseason All-League defense, and that includes Ryan Greenhagen, who was named the preseason Defensive Player of the Year. The senior linebacker had 22 tackles in the spring after posting 123 tackles and 4.5 sacks in 2019. Teammate Tim DeMorat was named the preseason Offensive Player of the Year. The senior quarterback won the major award in the spring after throwing for 1,049 yards and 5 touchdowns in 3 games. He has 4,307 yards and 31 TDs in his first 2 full seasons. DeMorat leads an offense that is primed to have a special year.
It truly is a pleasure to be able to go against them in practice every day. I know that's kind of cliche, but when you go against those guys, all it does is improve your game for whatever you're going to see throughout the season. So Tim, Trey, Zach, Nick, Zakel up front, Phil Sala, and our receivers, they're all great players and they make us better. So it's a lot of fun going against them in practice, and I'm looking forward to getting into camp with those guys.
That Fordham offense, along with 6 other Patriot League schools, start their season on September 4th. Live home games can be found all season long on ESPN+.
We are a bigger, faster team. And when we hit that field, we intend to hit it as a faster team than we played and make those strides and improvements. So they've showed great leadership and dedication to the actual sport itself, making sure that they're better players and that they're more equipped and ready to play this fall.
I think it was an unreal moment when we first got back to campus. Some of the guys who haven't been there, for me personally in May, and just seeing guys for the first time in probably a year, it was unreal. But it was kind of cool because it was sort of like we just picked right back up.
And the guys on the team have just done a great job of showing resiliency and overcoming adversity and coming together. Particularly the kids that are I call them super seniors, right? Like you're rearranging your whole life. Whether it's at Cornell or Brown or Penn, right? They're taking off semesters, they're taking off years academically, they're getting jobs, they're finding gap years, to play.
The most fun thing for me was seeing guys in spring practice that had not seen each other for a long period of time, and just the jubilation and the enthusiasm, the excitement. We forgot a lot of things and lined up offside or missed a block or that type of thing. But just to see the guys, how excited they were to get back together.
For me, it's a huge accomplishment just in the fact that for us, my teammates elected me, and to know that they hold me in that regard, to know that they see me as that type of leader, as that type of player, and that they're willing to get behind me to take us on this next step as we take this journey towards an Ivy League championship means everything. And it just is a testament to the hard work that I've put in, to the investment that the coaches and that my family have put into me to get me to this point in my life. So can't really speak too much on it. It's a testament to a lot of hard work that has got me to this point.
I believe in our team. I believe in our coaching staff. I believe we all understand what our mission is. Okay, and the mission right now is not to worry about Bucknell on the 18th, but to worry about Saturday morning, and we're going to take it one day at a time. But I do believe by the time we get to that game day that our kids will play Penn football. We will be gritty. We will be tough. We will be resilient, and we will play for 4 quarters. And that's all you can ask of any team when they get there, is just to give it what they have. But I think we have good talent and a pretty gritty bunch to roll out there.
I just really feel that I'm truly grateful and truly blessed to receive those acknowledgments. But really, I'm just focused on getting to camp and seeing my boys again, really, honestly, because I haven't seen majority of these guys for a very long time. Like Colin, I've only seen him a couple of times during this year off. And so really, these accolades really don't mean anything until we get back to work, and just for us to bond again on the field and to get working and up under the leadership of Coach Serace. Like, I'm just looking forward to us to gelling and just balling out this season, honestly.
You've got to be willing to pivot, and you've got to be willing to look at each situation on a day-to-day basis and say, what's the best thing for my football team? And there's a lot of unknown out there on the day-to-day on each season, on every season. So I think you treat it like you do every year, where you have to be ready to adapt into whatever situation you have.
The 20th season of Big South football is upon us, and this milestone year features an all-time high 9 members. The league has 3 preseason top 25 teams for the first time in history, along with another first, a 7-game conference schedule to determine the Big South's automatic bid to the FCS playoffs. 2-time defending champion Monmouth is the Big South's preseason favorite for 2021. The Hawks are ranked 13th in the preseason top 25 and are headlined by preseason players of the year Jawan Fari and Anthony Budd. Both individuals are initial candidates for the FCS Legacy Awards. Kennesaw State enters the 2021 season nationally ranked at 19th, the Owls' 46th consecutive time in the national polls. Picked second in the Big South preseason, Kennesaw features the league's top rushing offense, with Isaac Foster leading the way again this season. New Big South member North Carolina A&T brings a championship pedigree that will immediately contend for the Big South title. Ranked 25th in the preseason top 25, the Aggies offense features 2019 Walter Payton Award finalist Jermaine Martin at running back. Charleston Southern has a 60% winning percentage in Big South games over the past 2 seasons and welcomes back 22 starters in 2021, including all 11 on defense. Preseason All-American Chandre Mims anchors the Bucks defense, with Jack Chambers the leader on offense. Campbell played 4 games against FBS opponents in the 2020 fall season, which has the Camels poised to contend for the Big South title in 2021. Quarterback Haj Malik Williams directs an offense featuring 10 returning starters, while several playmakers are among the 10 defensive starters back. Gardner Webb is looking to make strides in head coach Trey Lamb's second season this fall, as the Runnin' Bulldogs went 2-2 in the spring season. Preseason All-Conference running back Nari Gaither leads the offense, while the squad's top 8 tacklers return on defense. Hampton returns this fall after the program did not compete in 2020-21. The Pirates will have a new quarterback who will get to throw to preseason All-Conference receiver Jadakiss Bonds, who led the Big South with 15 touchdown catches in 2019. Defensive lineman Andy Matthews paces the defense. New associate member Robert Morris debuted in the abbreviated Big South spring season in 2021, and a full slate of league opponents await the Colonials this fall. RMU is counting on 9 returning offensive starters and all 11 starters on defense to make a big impression. North Alabama begins its final year of transitioning to Division I this fall, and while not eligible for the Big South Crown or FCS playoffs, the Lions will be a countable Big South opponent for the first time. UNA will have 6 conference games in 2021 and will be included in the league standings. Here is the predicted order of finish for the upcoming season as voted by the head coaches and our media panel. That's a look at the 2021 season ahead for the Big South. Follow Big South football all season on ESPN Plus and on social media at Big South Sports.
The Southwestern Athletic Conference is embarking on an historic season with the addition of Florida A&M University and Bethune-Cookman University. Our league now has expanded to 12. We've been extremely proud to lead FCS attendance 43 of the last 44 years. Our fan base is extremely large. Our tailgating is extremely large. The anticipation of the bands has a lot of interest. So we're just excited about this upcoming season. And with the additions that we've had in our coaching ranks, we look forward to this being a wonderful and historic season. Well, we're excited to be able to extend our opportunity for the fans to see Southwestern Athletic Conference football. This year we have over 30 games on the ESPN family of networks. And then when you add in some of our non-conference contests, we're over 43. So this gives an opportunity for our fan base and others that are not necessarily familiar with the Southwestern Athletic Conference to be able to see what SWAC football is all about. So hats off to ESPN and the family of networks within ESPN, and again, another historic season for the Southwestern Athletic Conference. From a Southwestern Athletic Conference standpoint related to COVID testing, if you are vaccinated, the only way that you get tested is if you show symptoms. We do not have a mandatory mask mandate. Some of our states do not allow us to do that, but we are strongly encouraging mask at all functions, excluding being on the field. But if you're not vaccinated, then our COVID protocols that we instituted in the spring will be in effect. And in some instances, they're going to be a lot more stringent. For example, we're going to require 3 PCR tests during the week. In the spring, you could do 2 antigen tests and 1 PCR. All 3 this year must be PCR tests, and 1 has to be day of the game, which means that you're going to have to be able to facilitate whether you're the home team or the road team, ensuring that your student athletes, staff, and support staff are COVID free. So we are strongly encouraging all to get vaccinated, not just student athletes and the support staff, but fans alike. We want a full, robust season in the Southwestern Athletic Conference, and vaccination saves lives, and that's what we're pushing.
Hi, I'm Denise Thompson, and I am joined by Craig Haley of Stats Reform and Sam Herder of Hero Sports. It's time for our weekly segment and our check-in to get an in-depth look at all 15 FCS conferences as we pick the brains of our 2 favorite gentlemen. Guys, it feels so good to be back to talk about FCS football right now this fall. There's just nothing like fall ball knocking on the door. And, we are days away from our first sets of competition. And it's just something that I know that we've all been looking forward to. Spring ball was great. It was something different, new, and unique, right? But there's nothing like being able to play in that late August, early September feel to get back on the turf. So before we start talking about this upcoming fall season, I want to take a look back at the 2020 spring FCS playoffs. So Sam, can you just kind of tell us what team surprised you with their performance in the playoffs?
Yeah, I mean, the easy answer and obvious choice would be Sam Houston, winning their first FCS national title in program history, and just the way they did it, beating North Dakota State, James Madison, South Dakota State, some of the top programs in the FCS. That was obviously very impressive for Sam Houston to do that and accomplish that. I also think, just looking at their first round matchup against Monmouth, Monmouth very nearly beat Sam Houston, and they did it with a freshman quarterback, a sophomore sensation running back, and that tells me that they were a pretty young team, had some experience on defense, but that tells me that Monmouth is ready to start winning some FCS playoff games. And so, I mean, obviously Sam Houston kind of stood out with going undefeated, but I thought with how Monmouth competed well with them, that kind of raised my eyebrows.
So Craig, do you think that Sam Houston State has what it takes to repeat?
They definitely do. I mean, they're a power program, Denise. I mean, almost all of their spring starters are back, which kind of reflects what we're seeing across the nation. I mean, they've added a few key transfers. I think the key with Sam Houston is they've gotten over that mental hump where they've been deep in the playoffs so many times, finishing runner-up twice in 2011, 2012 to North Dakota State, and going far in the playoffs and then sometimes getting bounced out in a big way. So I think they needed this as a program, but I think it's also put them over that hurdle, and I think they're ready for that chance for back-to-back.
Well, they'll have their chance soon, and so will a lot of our other teams. So Sam, what game is at the top of the radar for you come week 1?
Yeah, I have a handful of games that I'm looking at, and there's plenty of good FCS versus FCS matchups in week 1, but I think we could see, a small amount of FCS versus FBS upsets. And I'm looking at Montana State going to Wyoming, Central Arkansas plays Arkansas State, Eastern Washington goes to UNLV, Jacksonville State gets UAB on a neutral site field, so that'll make it interesting. South Dakota State goes to Colorado State, and like I mentioned, Monmouth, I think they're going to have a really good season. They play Middle Tennessee, who's a struggling FBS team, and so I think hopefully those FCS teams can score quote unquote upset and kind of get the besides week 0, but get week 1 started of the FCS season with a bang.
What about you, Craig? Who do you have in mind?
Yeah, I definitely think Sam nailed it there with the FCS versus FBS, premier games, ones that could be upsets. I like all the ones he's chosen. I think if you look maybe strictly FCS versus FCS, you can even start in week 0. I mean, that North Carolina Central Alcorn, State MEAC SWAC challenge. I mean, the fact that it's rolling College Game Day from ESPN is just great for the FCS in general. And then, a week later in week 1, you have, Austin P at Chattanooga is a terrific matchup, 2 highly regarded teams in their conference. I think Sam Houston, going to Northern Arizona, a team that really finished the spring strong, Northern Arizona. I think that's fascinating because, your champs are on the road and you have an entire summer to build up if you're Northern Arizona. So I think they're great matchups, whether it's FCS versus FBS or just FCS versus FCS.
And we all know that playing at 7,000 feet is just a little different for some teams that have had the, be able to be out there. It's a little different. So let's talk about some teams who actually sat out this spring. So Sam, what would you say might be their biggest hurdle going into this fall?
Yeah, and there were some significant teams that didn't play in the spring. I mean, Alcorn State was the defending SWAC champs, CCSU defending MEAC champs. North Carolina A&T is making their transition to the Big South. Sacramento State and Montana State were playoff season 2019, and none of those teams played any games in 2020 or 2021 spring. Central Arkansas obviously played a fall slate, but they were also a playoff seed. And so, I mean, these are some heavy hitters in the FCS, and it'll be interesting to see how, Sacramento State and Montana State execute in game 1 and game 2 compared to Weber State, who played into the playoffs, or maybe even like a Montana who didn't play a full spring season, but they got 2 games in. What's their execution level like compared to teams that have gone nearly 2 years without playing? And so I think that's probably just the biggest hurdle is execution, playing at game speed, because some of these teams just haven't had game action in nearly 2 years.
So I'll change it a little bit and flip the script. Craig, what could you see might be an advantage for those teams that weren't able to play this spring?
You're right. You go either way on this, Denise. I think game experience is number one. I mean, everybody, prefers games over practices, even if you're within a program. I think, you're implementing your schemes, you're playing your freshmen, getting them ready, and basically preparing your team for the next season by playing this past spring. I think if you played 1 game, that's better than not playing at all. If you played 2, it's better than, just playing 1. If you got in a full, complement of games, like Sam Houston played 10, it's going to benefit you experience-wise, and hopefully you utilized a lot of players and gave game experience all around, so players will stay healthy this fall.
Craig, so when it comes to the Walter Payton Award, will this year be the year of the quarterback, the running back, or even the wide receiver?
Well, it's certainly been the year of the quarterback for some time now. I believe it's 16 out of 17 years now that a quarterback has won. Obviously, Cole Kelly at Southeastern Louisiana won in the spring, but it's a great year for running backs. I mean, I wrote an article, there were 25 running backs that had are returning that have already been 1,000-yard runners in a season. And 2 of them, Pierre Strong at South Dakota State and Josh Davis at Weber State, they've done it twice. So there's so many talented running backs back. I mean, there's some terrific wide receivers. I think this year you can go into the season and say it's not a slam dunk for the quarterbacks, because there's talent all around the FCS. These teams are experienced that are coming back.
Well, it's always fun to, rile our fans up a little bit, not a lot, but, just a little bit, East Coast to the West Coast. So, Craig, if you had to pick 4 teams that right now, we're holding you to it, right? Right now, you anticipate making the FCS semifinals, who would they be?
Well, in the stats perform, preseason top 25, over 80% of the ballots, we had 50 ballots, they had, Sam Houston, North Dakota State, South Dakota State, James Madison. That was the top 4 in some combination on over 80% of the ballots. I think I agree with that. I really think those are the 4 teams to beat. Whether it could be that way come semifinal time, because, playoffs are regional. A North Dakota State could play a South Dakota State prior to that. So I think those are the 4 to beat, the 4 that should be up there. But again, these teams are just so experienced coming back, especially ones that played. So I marvel at the top 10, how good the top 10 is going into the year.
Sam, do you agree? Do you have a few to add to the mix?
Yeah, I mean, those are the four I have as well. But just to put a little spin on it, I'll put seeds next to them. So I think 1 seed Sam Houston will be hosting 4 seed North Dakota State in the semifinals. And then the other semifinal would be 2 seed South Dakota State hosting 3 seed James Madison. And so just a little spin on it, because I do think those 4 teams are in Tier 1. But then you have Tier 2 teams that are pretty close as well, whether it's a Montana or a Delaware, Southern Illinois, UND, teams like that are not too far from Tier 1, which is nice to see at the FCSL, because for a while there, it was pretty exclusive company to be a part of Tier 1 in the FCS, and now I think there's some teams moving into Tier 1.
Well, YouTube better watch out. Twitter Nation is about to blow up the stream once they hear those names that were popped out. But it's so great to be back. Thank you both for being able to join our show once again. I'm Denise Thompson. You have here Craig Haley from Stats Reform, Sam Herder from Hero Sports. Thanks for joining us for FCS All-In, and until next time.
Hello, football fans, particularly those of the Mid-East Athletic Conference, as we welcome you to the 2021 MEAC Football Media Day. I am Jay Walker, and the Media Day is sponsored by Cricket Wireless. Smile, you're on Cricket. I'm Jay Walker, and joining me is the one, the only, the honorable, the legendary Tiffany Green.
All rise. No, okay. Everybody, it's just so good to be here. Jay, I'm delighted to be alongside you, my man. It's good to see you again. More importantly, it's great to be in person. Hey,
yes,
what's up,
everybody?
We made it here, 2021 Media Day in person from Norfolk, Virginia. And the significance of this Media Day is great, Jay, right? Because, yes, we are here in person, but also the MEAC is coming off its 50th anniversary.
5-0.
A very special year. So they usher in year 51. And also, a great legend, in my mind, retires as commissioner of this great conference. So shout out to Dr. Dennis T. Thomas.
Give it up for Dennis Thomas right away. Dennis Thomas, thank you for all the hard work you've done.
Thank you so much, sir, for your leadership. But also, it's important that we acknowledge the student athletes, right? The coaches and administrators who help get us to this point, who get us riled up, ready to go, and excited about this upcoming football season. So certainly, it's great to be here. Think about also the 50th anniversary teams, the various ones across the decades, and oh yeah, don't let it go to your head now. Yes, you were among one of the top 50 MEAC players all time. So kudos to you.
You gotta get hype. You gotta say of all time. 50 MEAC all time, but
he sits on an island by himself, so he can revel in that. That's
I was
a party of
so
one.
honored to be selected to that team there. I mean, I just always said when I was selected, it's not about me, it's about my teammates from that Howard University ball squad that won the national championship in 1993, and to join those legends, what a tremendous honor. But enough about me. Can we get to what we're here for?
Oh, yeah.
Let's get down to some college football and why we're here today. Let's start off with the predicted order of finish within the Mid-East Athletic Conference for the upcoming fall football season. Selected to finish 6th in the conference are the Bison of Howard University, HU, you know.
Coming in at number 5, the Bears of Morgan State University.
At number 4, a little buzz in the air, the Hornets of Delaware State University.
Watch out now, because the Eagles gonna come soaring from North Carolina Central University at number 3.
Now we're down to just the final 2 teams out there. Who's gonna be number 1? Well, at number 2, behold, the green and gold of Norfolk State University.
So, Jay, we know that only leaves one team. They've won more MEAC titles than any of the member institutions currently in the MEAC. They are ranked number 1 in the conference. We're talking about the South Carolina State Bulldogs. Ladies and gentlemen, that's your predicted order of finish for this upcoming year. What do you think about that?
I think it's pretty accurate, you would say, but it's all preseason polls, and the coaches and the players, they don't care what everybody else is thinking in the preseason. It's about who's going to finish at the end of the season with a trip to the Celebration Bowl.
Well, the Big Sky defending champs and preseason favorite, the Weber State Wildcats, will kick off their season at Utah on September 2nd. It was just last month that I sat down with their head coach, Jay Hill, at the Big Sky football kickoff. The reigning Big Sky Coach of the Year sat down with me to discuss his title and expectations for the team this upcoming season. Let's take a look. 4 straight conference titles, but in the spring, this is the first one that was earned outright.
Yep.
What was that like for your team?
Well, it's huge. It's been a goal for a long time, and in this league, there's so many great teams. To win it outright is really, really hard, especially where you don't necessarily get to play every team within the conference. It makes it even harder, and so to do it this spring was a big accomplishment, but that's always our biggest goal in going into each season.
So what's it going to take to accomplish that again in the fall?
Great football. There's great players in this league. At the other schools, there's great coaching going on, and we're going to have to go out there each and every week and play great. And when you get into conference play, you might be able to drop 1, but you can't drop 2 for sure, and even 1 makes it scary as to whether you can win a conference championship or not. And that puts pressure on each and every week to have to go out there and play great.
Now, talking about pressure, number 1 on the preseason polls, both for media and coaches, how do you live up to that?
Well, you're right. The first 3 conference championships we had, we were always picked to finish lower. And last year for the spring, we were actually picked to win it. And so it's really no different. Our approach doesn't change. There's a process that we go by. Do you have a bullseye on your back? Yes. But really, when you're going into each individual game, that particular opponent has a bullseye on you. And it's not like it really changes that much. It requires some maturity to have won 4 straight and to really bounce back and do it again. And that's what this team's going to have to do, show the maturity to go out there and work hard and be the best team in the conference.
You talk about a process that you go by. What does that look like for your program?
Well, we expect to be the hardest working team in the country. And the way we practice, the way we lift weights, the way we train and get ready for the season, that's an important part. And then the most important thing is once the ball's kicked off, we have to outwork our opponents and try to find ways to, outperform them.
Now, you earned the Coach of the Year honor. What did that mean to you?
Well, I don't want to downplay awards or anything like that, but really those are a reflection of your players. They're a reflection of your assistant coaches. And when you have a program that's up and rolling like we are, then the awards and accolades and things like that follow. But that's something, honestly, that the players earn for the coaches.
You talk about maturity and that being very important. Who are those guys who serve as leaders on your team?
Well, 2 of them are here right now at Big Sky Media Days with us. It's Rashid Shaheed, Jared Sheese, but we have a whole bunch of them. We returned 6 captains from last year's team. Ty McPherson is another guy that played really good. Josh Davis, Noah Tangi. And then on the defensive side, George Tarlis is one of our best leaders, a defensive end. There's a lot of them that really lead and do a great job of that. Connor Mortensen was an All-American last year, and we will lean heavily on that senior class this year.
Hello, everyone. Ralph Ventry here with your Northeast Conference update. All 8 NEC football members are preparing for a Week 1 kickoff. Now, in the meantime, let's focus on some of the key individuals who will perform on the NEC gridiron this fall. So earlier this preseason, I had the privilege to speak with NFL Draft Bible's Rick Saratella. Rick, who is also a scout for the NFLPA Collegiate Bowl, shared 3 names from his watch list for the annual Senior All-Star Game. NFLPA Collegiate Bowl, who will that All-Star Game be looking out for when it comes to Northeast Conference players this fall?
Yeah, so we'll have the 11th annual NFLPA Collegiate Bowl on January the 22nd out at the Rose Bowl in Pasadena, California. We've had several notable NEC alumni participate in that event for aspiring players looking to play professionally. And we had 43 players selected in the 2021 NFL draft. So I'm excited again to get out to the camps, me being a Northeast guy and getting to visit with the coaches and the strength coaches and the cafeteria workers to get to know these guys And we'll start off with one that I'm just really starting to get to know better, and that's Jake Dixon, the new offensive tackle at Duquesne, sliding over a season ago from tight end over to the tackle position. Coach Schmidt does a great job as any coach of identifying the best position for players. And you've seen him transition guys and move players around in the past from offense to defense, and this time from tight end to tackle. And Jake Dixon is a guy who gets it. He's smart on the field. He's an all academic in the classroom. He made the transition seamlessly at 6'6", 290 pounds, that type of athleticism, that type of power. Jake Dixon is on the NFLPA Collegiate Bowl radar. You mentioned Tyshawn James. I mentioned Big Game James. All he does is make plays, Ralph, and he has no fear. He lines up outside. He lines up inside. He goes over the middle. He goes vertical. I mean, there's nothing that Tyshawn James can't do at 6'3", 200 pounds. He's got length. He's got size. He's got quickness. And then Julius Chestnut, the Walter Payton finalist. We've talked about the storied history of the Northeast Conference, all the great running backs they've had, especially in recent years. Chestnut is as good as they come. This guy can run through you. He can run over you. He can run around you. He can catch the ball out of the backfield. He can smash it. He can dash it. He's elusive in the open field. For being a bigger, bruising kind of back, here's someone who can keep it between the tackles, bounce it to the outside, catch it out of the backfield. Julius Chestnut is a historic player as far as I'm concerned for the Northeast Conference.
So as Rick mentioned, make sure you keep tabs on Duquesne's Jake Dixon, Central Connecticut's Tyshawn James, and Sacred Heart's Julius Chestnut, amongst the many other stars in the Northeast Conference this fall.
Welcome to the announcement of the CAA football preseason honors for the 2021 season presented by Geico. Coaches and media relations personnel voted on the group of players who they expect to excel on the field this season. But first, let's take a look at the 2021 predicted order of finish in what is always a competitive conference race. Picked to win the league with 15 first-place votes and 231 total points are the James Madison Dukes. JMU is coming off a 7-1 season in which they advanced to the semifinals of the NCAA FCS playoffs for the fourth time in the past 5 years. Right behind the Dukes with 222 points and 7 first-place votes are the Delaware Blue Hens. Delaware also posted a 7-1 record during the spring and reached the semifinals of the FCS playoffs for the first time since 2010. Here's a look at the rest of the 2021 CAA football predicted order of finish. Now we'll take a look at the 2 players that the coaches think will be the biggest game changers in the conference. The CAA Preseason Offensive Player of the Year is Percy Ajay Obese, a senior running back from JMU. Ajay Obese rushed for a CAA best 717 yards and 8 touchdowns in 8 games last season. The 2-time first-team All-Conference selection ran for over 100 yards 4 times last spring and enters his final year among the top 10 in JMU history in rushing touchdowns. Your CAA Preseason Defensive Player of the Year is Mike Green, a senior defensive lineman from JMU. Green was recognized as the CAA Co-Defensive Player of the Year last spring after recording 25 total tackles, a league-high 10.5 tackles for loss, and 3 sacks. He earned first-team All-America honors and was a finalist for the Buck Buchanan Award. And here's the rest of the CAA All-Preseason team, starting with the offensive backfield. Now, here are the players manning the trenches on the offensive line. Lastly, the receivers, as we wrap up the offensive side of the ball. Moving on to the defense, we will begin with the guys up front on the defensive line. Next up, some of the best tacklers in the league, the linebackers. And wrapping up with the guys patrolling the back end in the secondary. Rounding out the All-CAA preseason team, we have the special teams players. That does it for the announcement of the CAA football preseason all-conference team and predicted order of finish. The CAA football season kicks off on Thursday, September 2nd, as Stony Brook hosts New Hampshire and Maine entertains Delaware. Be sure to turn to flowfootball.com to catch all of the action all season long.
Just a few months removed from the unprecedented spring 2021 season, Ohio Valley Conference coaches are excited to be playing in the fall once again, but thankful they had the opportunity to compete last year, even though the season looked different.
COVID football is better than no football. Of course, there's a lot of challenges, but I really, really appreciate everybody that sacrificed so much so we can play a season.
I am glad that we got to play and these kids got to, experience college football. Certainly there was a lot of challenges, the testing the week and not knowing who was going to be eligible to, able to play due to, the virus or contact tracing. That was challenging, but one of the better memories that I have, though, I thought our kids handled it great.
Despite last season being different, OVC coaches did express they were able to learn some lessons that will help their teams this season.
I think it allowed us to grow. I really do, because it challenged us to think outside the box. It challenged us to adapt. And I think that's what life's all about. As the years go on, you have to continue to adapt and evolve, or you're going to get left behind. And I think that this year kind of forced everybody to adapt.
Well, I think one thing we learned is, we probably meet too much, in person. There's a lot of things that you could, actually get done, just over Zoom. And, we took advantage of that as a coaching staff, in June with, having had a season just end and knowing that your guys are going to be back in July. We've had some guys miss some of the things that, we've done as far as speakers and stuff. So, I mean, we've used Zoom, as that, as a substitute, for being in person. And, a lot of times it works just as well.
What are OVC coaches most looking forward to for the upcoming year?
Just having football in the fall. That sounds great, don't I? mean, this will be my 33rd season coaching football, not to mention the years that I played. I played here, of course, at Tennessee Tech and playing in high school and middle school and et cetera. And I've always had football in the fall. When fall rolls around, September, October, my wife will tell you I wasn't easy to deal with in the fall. I felt lost in September and October. It was just time of year that I had never experienced in my entire life, really without football. So I think just getting back to football in the fall, I think everybody's excited about that. I think our fans and alums are excited.
I'm really looking forward to another opportunity to play football this season. Everybody, I think the most common question I've gotten has been, how are you handling 2 seasons in 21? How are you guys going about this? I got to be honest, we've obviously done a ton of planning and preparation, making sure our director of football performance, Derek Stein, has done an incredible job to take care of their bodies, really plan for the marathon rather than the sprint. But the best thing I can say is it's just incredibly exciting, right? The players, coaches, quite honestly, everybody gets into this thing for the season.
The new coach on the block this season, Tennessee State's Eddie George, did not experience the challenges that went along with the 2020 campaign. Hired in April, he is looking forward to his first season as a collegiate head coach and competing in the OVC.
Man, I'm looking forward to just getting to seeing ball being played. I had the opportunity to look at a few games last year in the spring to get a barometer of, who are the good teams in this league, who's competitive. And I have to tell you, from top to bottom, I'm very impressed with the quality of play.
The 74th season of OVC football gets underway in a few short weeks, with the first conference matchups taking place on September 25th.
Welcome to the Missouri Valley Football Conference Extra Point. College football and fall camps are around the corner. The Valley preseason poll is out, and national FCS runner-up South Dakota State is picked to win the league. The Jacks returned 20 starters from this spring's Valley Co-Championship team. 8-time FCS champ North Dakota State is picked second with 21 starters back. The first time in 10 seasons the Bison aren't the league favorite. North Dakota, SIU, and Northern Iowa round out the top 5. Defending Valley Co-champ Missouri State is picked 6th. The Valley preseason first team offense is loaded. North Dakota quarterback Tommy Schuster ranked second nationally in passing among rookie QBs this spring and was a finalist for the Jerry Rice Award. SIU wide receiver and All-American Avante Cox led the Missouri Valley in receiving with 66 catches for 838 yards and 5 touchdowns. South Dakota State's stacked backfield includes second-team All-American running back Pierre Strong Jr., who combined with freshman Isaiah Davis to average more than 160 yards per game and 13 touchdowns. Here's a look at the first-team offensive line. The preseason first-team defense is an impressive group that includes Northern Iowa's All-American D lineman Jared Brinkman. The NFL prospect is the reigning Valley Defensive Player of the Year, a Buck Buchanan finalist, and averaged a Valley best 1.29 TFLs per game. A pair of second-team All-Americans highlight the linebacking core. South Dakota State's Logan Backus, who led the league with 9.5 tackles for loss, and North Dakota State's James Kaiser, who led the Bison defense in tackles. Anchoring the preseason first-team secondary is Missouri State cornerback Montre Braswell, who helped lead the Bears to a share of their first conference title in 30 years. The transfer was top 5 in passes defended, interceptions, and forced fumbles in the league. Here's a look at the preseason first-team specialists. Nationally, 5 Valley teams are ranked in the preseason top 25, including 3 in the top 5 in South Dakota State, North Dakota State, and SIU. Northern Iowa leads the league with every starter returning. SIU, Western Illinois, and Youngstown State bring back all but 1 starter. Valley football officially kicks off the season in week 0 with Indiana State, followed by a full slate of season openers highlighted by 5 FBS opponents set for Thursday, September 2nd through Saturday, September 4th.
The fall season is just around the corner for college football teams across the country, and the Pioneer Football League preseason poll and superlatives are out. The Davidson Wildcats have been tabbed to take home the 2021 Pioneer Football League trophy in a close vote by the coaches. The Wildcats are coming off of a historic season which featured the program's first ever PFL title and a trip to the FCS playoffs. We got a chance to speak with head coach Scott Abel about the run last season and what the experience was like for this team.
First, we're just incredibly excited to be able to really bring the first PFL championship in the history of our program back to Davidson, right? It's certainly been a long journey, for the program. Our staff has been here now 3 seasons, getting ready to start our 4th. And so, so much goes into that. And I'm really proud of the entire program. I'm proud of the campus, but most importantly, proud of our players.
With all of the success last year, the Wildcats have a lot to look forward to on the field this season, with 9 of their all-PFL selections from last season returning this fall.
Anytime you return a veteran group, you really lean on your leadership, your experience to bring the younger guys along. And so, but you have to make sure you give them that opportunity, right? And so I think our staff, our coaches have done a great job of really helping our leadership group understand that, our experienced players. What is your role as you head into a hopefully a more normal football season, and preparing for a full season now, right? Preparing for a complete fall, and knowing that your younger roster that doesn't have that experience yet are probably going to play some pretty key roles in a full season.
San Diego came in just behind Davidson with 93 points in the voting. The Toreros have won 6 of the last 7 PFL titles, with their streak being snapped last season by the Wildcats. USD returns the majority of their roster from the spring, including 7 of their 9 all-PFL first-team honorees. Coming in at 3rd in the poll is Drake, receiving 67 points. The Bulldogs had 3 players earn preseason all-PFL honors heading into the season. Dayton, the league's leader in total championships with 12 PFL titles, finished 4th in the voting with 62 points. The Flyers placed 5 on the preseason All-PFL team. Presbyterian enters its first official PFL season this fall and finished 5th in the voting with 59 points. Valparaiso followed with 55, while Morehead State had 51, finishing 6th and 7th respectively. Another new Pioneer Football League member, St. Thomas, was 8th in the preseason poll with 36 points, finishing just ahead of Marist and Stetson, who tied for 9th. Butler rounds out the poll with 15 votes. The action gets underway in less than 2 weeks as Drake kicks off the season on September 2nd, with the remainder of the teams following that Saturday, September 4th. Here's a look at the schedule for opening weekend.
The ASUN Conference kicks off its first season of FCS scholarship football, forming a one-year scheduling alliance with the SWAC Conference to form a 17-team partnership known as the AQ7. 3 of those schools, Central Arkansas, Eastern Kentucky, and Jacksonville State, are set to join this season, with Kennesaw State and North Alabama set to join after wrapping up their 2021 slates in the Big South Conference. The Gamecocks kick off their season September 1st against UAB in the Montgomery Classic after a 10-3 season that saw Jacksonville State advance to the FCS quarterfinals. The Gamecocks opened their season ranked 10th in the Stats Perform FCS preseason rankings and returned Hero Sports preseason All-Americans Nicario Harper and DJ Coleman. JSU's quarterback Zerick Cooper also returns this season after sitting out last year due to injury. Central Arkansas opens its season on the road September 4th against Arkansas State. The Bears are ranked 14th in the FCS preseason rankings and returned 20 starters from a UCA squad that went 5-4 in fall play last season. Central Arkansas has a league-leading 13 student athletes named to the preseason all-conference team, including junior quarterback Braylon Smith and sophomore wide receiver Tyler Hudson, who were both named to the Walter Payton watch list. Eastern Kentucky opens the season September 4th the same way they ended last year with the matchup against Western Kentucky. The Colonels won that Opportunity Bowl matchup decisively and have 6 players named to the first ever ASUN preseason all-conference team. Redshirt junior Matthew Jackson was also voted to the Stats Perform FCS preseason All-American team after leading EKU with 79 tackles, 8 tackles for loss, and 2.5 sacks. The ASUN Conference becomes the 15th NCAA Division I conference to sponsor FCS football this season with their partnership with the Western Athletic Conference. The AQ7 preseason coaches poll has the Central Arkansas Bears picked to finish 2nd and are scheduled to do battle with the predicted winner and 2020 FCS champion Sam Houston September 25th.
This is the WAC Football Preview. I'm Eric Danner. College football returns to the Western Athletic Conference for the first time since 2012. In the preseason coaches poll, defending national champion Sam Houston is picked to win the WAC, the Bearcats receiving all 5 possible first-place votes in the conference poll. SHSU also landed the preseason Offensive Player of the Year. Junior quarterback Eric Schmid gets the honor. Last season, Schmid was second-team All-America while leading the FCS in total passing yards and ranking 16th in passing efficiency. The Defensive Player of the Year is Sam Houston defensive lineman Jahari Kay. The senior from Berkeley, California is an Athlon Sports preseason All-America selection. Last year, he was named to the AP, American Football Coaches Association, and Stats Perform All-America first teams. Kay recorded 5.5 sacks and 8 tackles for loss. The Bearcats landed 16 players on the preseason All-WAC teams. Pick number 2 in the conference is Stephen F. Austin. The Lumberjacks had 4 players named preseason All-WAC. Third place goes to Tarleton. The Texans also getting 4 preseason All-WAC selections. Number 4 is Lamar, followed by Abilene Christian. In the AQ7 coaches poll, which also includes schools from the Atlantic Sun Conference, Sam Houston picked up all 7 first-place votes. They're followed by Central Arkansas and Jacksonville State. Stephen F. Austin is 4th. Next is Eastern Kentucky, Abilene Christian, and Lamar. For a complete list of the preseason all-conference polls and awards, check out our website at wacsports.com. For the WAC Digital Network, I'm Eric Danner.
Let me start by saying I thought these were going to be football players. So now I'm really confused. I think I know this one. Is that the Backstreet Boys? NSYNC?
Coach, you were on national TV, went viral. I was like, oh, baby, I may lose my job on this one.
Fight 100 duck-sized horses or one duck the size of a horse?
I'm gonna take the one duck size of a horse.
Yeah.
100 ducks.
Well, I gotta read this question again.
The positives of it, you know, I think everybody across the country and across the world saw what a lucky lady Sarah Carthel is, you know, the dad bod and everything else.
Would you rather swim with sharks or go skydiving?
Swim with sharks.
For real?
Bro, I'm not skydiving, bro.
So you getting the little tank deal inside the boat?
Yeah. What the parachute don't deploy?
What if the shark gets through there?
The water bottle is awesome. It's beast. This the water bottle.
How do you open it?
You twist it this way. You twist it this way and it opens just like that.
The water bottle, I've never seen something just pop. I'm thinking it's gonna break, but it didn't. I'm so happy about that. I ain't gonna lie. I'm using that when I get back.
Oprah. Would you rather get stuck on a ski lift or an elevator?
Ooh, I don't know. On a ski lift, you can see everything, but on an elevator, you're kind of closed in. So if you fall, I mean, it is what it is.
How excited are you to go give all your Southern Utah friends a hug next year when they rejoin the WAC?
We hate them. We hate them. You know, I was going to say, the birds fly upside down in Cedar City because there's nothing good to poop on up there, you know.
Thanks for going all in with us. You can catch every episode of FCS All-In right back here every Saturday at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and ring that bell icon to stay up to date on all the latest FCS All-In content. Until next week, let's be sure to keep the conversation going on social media by using the hashtag FCS All-In.